Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the unofficial, the counterfeit Artcast.
Yeah.
So, Jeff was kind of making some jokes and stuff about this being the counterfeit Artcast. So I kind of commented on it. Jeff Lafferty, if you didn't know. So anyway, I said, well, I'm perfectly fine calling it the unofficial Artcast, but I just want to remind anyone that doesn't know, I mean, right now we're at like episode 239, so we've been going for a long time, but if anyone doesn't know, Jeff Lafferty actually started this Artcasters. It was, in the beginning, it was Jeff Lafferty, Kevin Cross, and myself, and they kind of brought me in, and I was kind of, I didn't have a whole lot of experience as on YouTube or anything. They were like light years ahead of me and everything, but for whatever reason they brought me on. And then Jeff kind of left the show, and then Kevin eventually, after actually we got Josh on the show, so at one time we had 4 people. Then Kevin dropped off, and it's been me and Josh for a while.
Hey, I was there way back in the day. I was there way back in the day.
Was it? Now there was actually a precursor to this Artcaster show. I think there was a show that Jeff did in the mornings.
I did the late night at some point in time.
Well, were you like a guest or a host? I'm pretty sure you were probably. I know we've had you on as a guest.
Yeah, I was a guest. I was never like.
But as far as like, in the beginning, we didn't even have guests. It was just Jeff, Kevin, and myself. And then when Jeff and Kevin left, it was just me and Josh. I always liked the idea of having 3 people. So that's when we decided to bring on like a guest. So, but anyway, I just want to clear the air and kind of stipulate that we are not the Artcast. We are the Artcasters. Jeff's is the Artcast. We're the Artcasters. So that's how, in my mind, that's how you separate the two. But I told Jeff if he wants us to call it counterfeit, I prefer the term bootleg. So we could be the bootleg Artcast.
We're broadcasting live from a van, and we're going to get cut off in time.
It's much more punk rock. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way. And having said that, this is the Artcasters, whether it's the unofficial, the bootleg, the counterfeit, or just the Artcasters. And we do this every week usually. And like I just mentioned, it's me and Josh. And we've got a guest on tonight, which we'll get to in a minute. But right now, we're going to do what we always do. And I know Johannes hasn't been on in a while. Like I said, we'll introduce him. But usually because it's, like I said, it's been a while, and usually I let people know how we go about this. But so I'm going to introduce myself, then go to Josh, and then we'll go to Johannes, and then we'll kick off the topic, and we'll start getting into the show. So anyway, and we promote whatever we want to promote in the beginning. So I'm Scott. You're on my channel, so you know where to find me. I do want to put something out there. I got this this is one of those things that I got a comment on YouTube. And I hadn't thought about this, but it was like a great idea. And I was like, why didn't I think about this? So if anyone knows, I did this series called Making Comics 101. And, I loved doing the series. I finished it and everything. Unfortunately, it took a lot of time to do. So, but I want to keep pointing people back to that because I think it's valuable stuff. But somebody had mentioned, said, you should do a live version of that. So one thing that I'm thinking of doing is bring back that sort of branded Making Comics 101, but as a live show, answering questions and things. So if anyone has questions, you can either email me at Scott@CircWorks. I'll put a post on YouTube or however you want to get to me and ask questions. And we'll also take live questions. But I just want to put that out there that I want to do that comics related. Because, I really do like that idea. So I just want to put that out there in people's minds that that's coming. And if you guys have anything you want to talk about with me about making comics or anything like that, that'll be coming soon. So that's what I got to promote today. What about you, Josh?
Sweet. So you can check out my work at joshwickhemble.com. You can check out my Instagram, and I think this time I might actually remember what my Instagram is. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I don't have it queued up.
It's just Joshua Kemble on Instagram. And there I'm posting a lot of thumbnails that I've been doing for the next 2 stories book. Well, the first one's being shopped around by my literary agent. And then also posting process photos and stuff of my animations as I'm working on them. So, because I'm animating music videos for an album that I released called The Bottle of Better Than, and it's on pretty much every music platform. I'd recommend Spotify first, and if you dig it, maybe buy it on iTunes or something. But check it out and see what you think. So, yeah.
All right. So back from a very long hiatus from social media.
Yeah,
It's been a while, but we got Johannes Vick back on the show. And so I've seen him making, I saw him on Marshall's channel, and I was just kind of surprised because you get, there's a lot of, and Johannes is a 100 Days of Making Comics alum. He finished the challenge and everything. But, a lot of people come and go through that challenge and everything. And I just kind of thought he just dropped off, which he sort of did drop off social media, but he's been very productive in the meantime. So I just found that really fascinating. So I just thought it was an interesting story. So I want to get it and talk with Johannes about that, about kind of why he left social media, why he decided to return, and then maybe drop off again and go back into just being more productive without social media. And it's just an interesting take because I kind of have that. I'm constantly staying on YouTube, but I haven't posted anything on Instagram or most other social media outlets in a while. So I find it very interesting. And so anyway, I want to get into that. But before we do that, Johannes, is there anything you want to promote? Anything you got going on?
I'm coming back to YouTube, and I was actually really interested in what you were pumping there. Was
have you not seen that?
That's kind of like where I was headed. I was going to make. I'm working on a book right now, and it's like actually, I'm working on two. I'm working on the third issue of Steel Wool, and I'm working on a full-blown graphic novel with Andrew Haunt. And I was going to start kind of showing how I go through that process of making the books. I mean, I think everyone's going to go a different take. The reason why I did it, because I was looking for a series that basically was everything from coming up with the idea all the way to like printing and marketing the book and every single thing in between. And there really wasn't anything like that. I mean, you can find all that stuff out there on YouTube, but not by one single person, not in a series. And I saw people that started and then they just don't. So I just said, you know what, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to go through it. And I totally upped my production value and everything. And it ended up taking me seriously, each episode was 20 hours to produce and everything. So, but I got through it and now it's done. The other good thing is when I'm talking about doing live, I can kind of continue that idea, but doing it live is so much easier than all that heavy production value. But I think definitely if you do a video series like that, I mean, everyone's going to approach that differently. So yeah, I would like to see. I'm all, because everyone's got their own process and everything. So I'd be very curious to see that, and that'd be cool. I'd love to see more YouTube content from you. Well, on the other side of that, I'm a hot mess, so you'll see me just struggle through the entire thing, and
that's good too, man. Everyone struggles, and it gives it gives people something to relate to.
Yep.
I threw up your website on here, so you're at blacksalescomics.com.
Yes.
And then I'm also going to throw up on YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. You're at Johannes Vick.
Yep.
And then on Instagram, almost the same, but underscore, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If it's, if you can't find me just with them all smashed up together, there's the underscore in there, because apparently there's one other human being on the face of the planet with my name.
Did they if they pronounce the last name the same? Because I was just asking Johannes, because I always thought it was pronounced Wick, and it
is pronounced Wick, but trying to explain that to people when they see it, because when it the American version of it is with a W,
right?
But
yeah, that's pretty common too. Like my wife's name is Mai, and we'll go get coffee or something, and they call her May, which is actually her sister's name, and she'll just be like, "Yeah, that's my coffee," because it's after a while you just kind of are like, "Okay, fine, call me whatever." Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I'm sure it's one of my ancestors, or one of my cousins or something over in Norway.
Is it Norwegian then?
Yeah,
I'm of Norwegian descent as well. So
Yeah, my family is known for big Viking beards.
Yeah, so like our name was changed to Circlin way back when, because originally it was Peterson, because Norwegians all have the son, because like Ericsson and like you're named after the father and all that. And then I guess somewhere one of my ancestors decided that it was too common, so they changed it to Circlin. But anyway.
So just the last little thing on last names, because I just found this hilarious. I had never really heard much about the origin of Kemble with a K.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out it's from Kemble, England. But it also turns out that like the name origin means messed up teeth, which is hilarious because I have messed up teeth. Every Kemble I know has messed up teeth. And I just thought it was hilarious that it literally just somehow stemmed from like, oh, it's that dude with messed up teeth. Like, I just thought that was hilarious. Like, some people, it's like, it goes back to our fighting roots and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, mine's just teeth and bad teeth.
Yeah, some of these, it's funny when you look at the lineage of some of these names and stuff.
I always found Shoemaker hilarious for some reason. I don't know why.
I think it's probably just because it's so like on the nose.
Yeah, it's like this is who I am. This is what we did.
Yeah, I know that's something Corey Kerr talks about a lot, of just how it used to be that you were whatever your family was, and that's what you were named, and you weren't allowed to do anything else. So yeah. Anyway, so Johannes, like I said, you did like the 100s and everything. You basically took a break from social media, and like I said, I thought you were done. You finished doing comics or whatever, but because the thing that surprised me, because it seemed like you were starting to pick up at that time. You were doing steel wool, and because I know that was sort of your goal, was to start doing published work, and you started doing that. And then I was kind of like, oh, I wonder what happened to him. But you did.
I got drowned in work.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I literally went from doing the 100s to finishing it, and I didn't finish the book. I never went back to doing, because I was working on the Pelican at the time, and I struggled through the whole thing. And it was mainly more of me struggling with technology to make the videos. Within like a week or two, maybe a month after doing the 100s, I had the Untold book, and I did a couple of pages for that real fast, and then we did the Kickstarter, and I was like, it was a black and white book. Nobody knew who the heck I was, and we threw that on Kickstarter, and it got funded, and it was like off and running. And I jumped directly from there to we fulfilled that, and then I kind of moved on and did steel wool within like I guess 3 months after that. Within probably 6 months, the book was out from the fulfillment of doing the Untold. And then I started to do the 100s again, and so it wasn't last year, but it was the year before. And within like a couple of days of my second run into the 100s, my stepmom died on my birthday, and I just kind of scrapped the whole year.
Wow. Mm. It seems like tragedy kind of follows your comics career.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you started comics, was sort of out of tragedy.
Yeah, it was. That's funny. You actually remember that. Like, I feel like nobody remembers, like, but at any rate, like, going beyond that, I'd spent that year just kind of hanging out with my daughter, and because it was like her last year before she went into kindergarten, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to hang out with you. And I went to a bunch of conventions just to kind of check them out, because I'd never gone to conventions, and I felt like I had all this growth on the internet, but I felt like I kind of plateaued. I wasn't seeing any new, not that I wasn't seeing new followers. I wasn't seeing it kind of like the same way. And I was like, there's just this whole portion of comic books that I'd always been like, this is how the progression of comic books go. You make a comic book and you start going to conventions, and then you make connections that way. So I took that time away from actually making books to going to conventions and meeting people. And that's when I met one of the writers for AC Comics, and was like, hey, I've always kind of followed this book and the company, and everybody in the comic book industry kind of got their start here. I would love to have a chance to do that. And he goes, well, I'm just the writer, but I can give you Mark Heckey's email address. And I emailed him, and I kind of begged him for a job, telling me to go away. It's like that kid at the pool where you're just like,
That's definitely a tactic, is persistence. I mean, not just a tactic, but that's the way to do it, whether it's persistence with the same people knocking down their door, but it seems like it worked.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I kind of promised myself, like, I was like, God, if you put the door in front of me, I'll walk through it.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that one of the writers is from New Jersey. I live in Pennsylvania, and he did a convention in Pennsylvania, and I was like, I think I had seen it like earlier on in the day on social media, and I was like, he showed pictures of him setting up or whatever, and I told my wife, I said, I'm going to go to this thing and go meet this guy and get a job. So, and it worked out. I wound up working for him for like a year and a half.
Cool. Awesome.
Nice.
And did a bunch of books, and did some more, did a bunch of other books too at the same time for like myself and other companies, and got involved with the movie industry again, which I swore off, because one of the other things that I hadn't mentioned was that while I was doing like the Untold and Steel Wool, I was also in the background doing graphic novels for the movie industry. That is a lot like, building this giant thing and then just throwing it into a wood chipper for money. Not very much.
Now explain. I don't follow exactly. What do you mean by that?
So the movie industry, a lot of times, like, they'll come to comic book artists and be like, hey, I have this idea and I want to pitch it to Universal or whatever. You don't really know where it's going.
Yeah, and put it in a tangible form so you can kind of
you get
like people do that to build IPs and stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, like, the big thing nowadays is like to pitch to Netflix,
right?
And because everybody thinks that they're, what was the guy's name, Mark Millar. Mm-hmm. And you wind up doing, like, some people just do one floppy issue so that they can take it to the Cannes Film Festivals along with like whatever amount of stuff that they've shot for the movie. And then there's other, like, I got myself involved in 2 actual graphic novels that, I don't have any rights to print. I don't have any rights to show it.
Wow.
It's like hundreds of pages of art that it just, didn't matter.
Does it pay okay? I mean, is there some consolation, or, I mean,
it's comic books.
Yeah. Well, I've done plenty of shows where I've done plenty of episodes where I talk about how a lot of the comics I've done are like more for like advertising, which do pay well. People pay better page rates. Like next week, I'm going to put out a video on what comic artists make and page rates and things like that. And again, I just talk about how, I mean, it's not as glamorous, obviously, when you're doing something for like fire safety or something like that. But
that pays.
Yeah, it pays. Or if you're doing package design featuring Marvel Comics heroes, you're probably making more than the people working on the actual comics. And it's just a messed up system. But I was just curious as far as like developing IPs and stuff like that, or if that's
some of them. The problem is like, it depends on who, like, and it was kind of like the last straw for me. Like, I had this big writer guy kind of contact me, and like the funny thing is like I was in the punk scene for years, and I kind of got this like disillusioned feeling as like I got further into the scene and started meeting people that I looked up to, and I was like, oh, you're not what I thought you were.
Yeah.
And last year, and the last year and a half has kind of been like a fair amount of the exact same thing, and I'm like, I guess people are just people, like the art community is just kind of like that. That's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that's how the world works.
Yeah,
I was just hoping for something different.
I find that fascinating because the only graphic novel I've done for pay, that was somebody else's like writing, I took on, and it was only 80 pages or something, which for a graphic novel is short, but still that's a ton of work. I think I had to condense it in like 3 months or something. And I remember coming out of that and doing the math on what I made in 3 months, whereas had I taken like 4 illustration gigs, or it was somewhere, it ended up being something similar to like if I had taken like 4 just regular illustration gigs, I would have gotten paid the same. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that for money for a long time unless it's a lot of money. Like, because I was like, if I love comics, but I'm like, if I'm going to invest time in comics, I want it to be on my own, because it's like that, you know, I'd rather do like 4 illustrations than focus on comics, or, you know, but it was a very similar thing where it was a pitch script that they were going to shop around like in Hollywood, and then I never saw it again.
Yeah, and that's pretty much how all of those things are. I mean, the thing about the one that I got at the beginning of last year was like that. It was like the person behind it was really looking to do like a Mark Millar kind of thing, where he was looking to create his own universe and his own, I guess, publishing house and pitch house kind of thing. The guy's a prolific writer. I mean, his pedigree was like, oh, okay, you know, and we were talking about things like him flying me out to the Cannes Film Festival in Canada, and then going from there to like essentially like doing some storyboarding things like on set, and then winding and I ultimately went there myself, but to Philadelphia, and then from there to New York Comic Con, and then or not New York, San Diego, then New York and Chicago. And he was making plans, and it was like his aim was to get us over into Japan. And I just saw like my entire life blowing up in front of me.
In a good way or a bad way?
You ever see those contracts that like Marvel handed out in like 1970?
I've been talking about that stuff on my channel.
And I was like, dude, you're the person that's running this in the background. I'm like, if you could be racist against like comic book artists.
Yeah, this is right up. I mean, this is exactly. I mean, you got to like check out my latest videos. I'm doing like a mini series on indie comics, and that's what I've been talking about. It's just how poorly creatives have been treated. I mean, lately there have been some progressions and some steps in the right direction, but we got a long way to go. So yeah.
The problem that I find in this is that, and I'm going to be honest with you, because I just don't give a crap anymore. Like I'm going to do my own thing, and if people want it, they want it, and it, you know, that seems like I just kind of fall into that. Like I you know, the art world is like the same everywhere you go, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason that art is worth so much money. You know, there's a reason for that. And I see that happening at the conventions, and I'm like, this is not, you know, like it took being in the punk rock scene. There's like an element that kind of lingers there, you know, like there's like really good people and there's really interesting people. And I was able to pick up on that. Like, you know, you're like, oh, okay. That's how this works. Okay. And I know I'm being vague, but I'm sure that anybody that.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I think also the thing that comes out of punk rock and hip hop too is sort of that DIY mentality. And I think that's why a lot of people that come from those scenes are such entrepreneurs, because, you know, there wasn't. I mean, punk rock is all DIY. I mean, you got to make.
That's actually not. You're right. that's actually the element that I love about it, is that there's a community there, and everybody that's actually making something is there, and they're amazing people and they're amazing entrepreneurs. It's the other stuff that's like kind of moving around in the peripheral that I'm like, oh, that's, you know, that's how the world works.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that are like, you know, there's a lot of snakes in the grass that are just kind of waiting there for you to step on them or for them to bite you. And I met a couple of people that like had actually burned other major that I was, you know, like you're trying to feel it out and figure out what's going on. And you're like, you're getting information from this person and they're helping you out, and you're realizing, oh, you know, maybe you're not, you know, who I thought you were, kind of thing. So there's always kind of that, like, there's always somebody that's looking for, you know, you gotta watch yourself. I guess. Kind of
that's the same with conventions. I mean, you think that artists there at a convention, they're going to put their best foot forward, and most of them do, but every once in a while you run into somebody who's like, maybe you catch them on a bad day or whatever.
Really, I've only had I've never had a bad issue with like, the with any of the talent. It's the people that kind of run the shows. That's the
right. Yeah. Well, that's I think that's pretty much every industry.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because you gotta break yourself in there, and there's a lot of vetting that goes on. You know, there's a lot of people that are looking at you and seeing, you know, what are you doing? You don't realize it, that you're being watched the whole time. Yeah.
So I have a question going back to some of the IP building comics that you did for like these producers and stuff. So you said you can't show it to anyone or anything like that. And maybe you don't know the answer to these questions, or maybe they shared it with you, or I don't know. But to me, I don't see why not publish the books? I mean, it's not like the people that are buying these things aren't looking to publish books. I mean, why not publish the books, make some money that way, build an audience for it? Why keep it in silent just to pitch to the studios when you could have it out there and also pitch to the studios and have something that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that they're pitching into the studios and they're possibly getting bought up. I mean, the thing is like, if you look at Netflix, they're just buying everything.
Yeah. Okay.
And they have this huge cache of stuff, and even like some of the stuff that like I saw, like my wife and I have been watching things that are coming out of other countries at this point that are you know, because we've watched everything. Cool. Yeah. So I think that these studios actually buy this stuff up. I don't, you know, it's just that you sign all your rights away. It's the thing.
Right. Yeah. I had a while way back when I developed a children's show, and we got an option. It's such a difficult thing because I had an option and everything, and then the studio, you know, they hired a writer to go in and spice it up and everything and pitch it. And, you know, anytime you hear like, oh, this is in development, don't get too excited that this thing's going to come out, because, you know, 9 out of 10, it doesn't happen, you know? So, I mean, but I guess I could see that there are people just buying stuff out but you know, and that's the thing, is the artist, you know, you had mentioned those old Marvel contracts, but I really think if you're an artist and you're working with a writer, I think you should share credit on that. And
oh yeah, absolutely. So I mean, that's that was kind of what I was really getting at there, I guess, for that situation, is that, you know, you're dealing with people that have a lot of money and that come from totally different backgrounds a lot of times than what artists are. And really what it is that, from what I see, is that there's this meeting of people that come from the fine art, and they're running up against all of these comic book artists and comic book creators at this point, and they're like, I went to school and you're doing this, you know, you're figure drawing, and I'm like, right, but I'm doing it at will. I'm not waiting for inspiration or
yeah.
I'm gonna draw you a person, I'll draw you a person. You want me to draw you an abstract, I'll draw you an abstract.
I was never I started because I didn't know the difference when I started going to art school. I didn't know the difference between fine art and commercial art. And luckily, I had good teachers that kind of steered me in the right direction, and not in a negative way. Not like you suck. You're not. You're not willing. You're not. You're not worthy of fine art. Go do graphic design. But no, honestly, they saw what I was doing, and they said, "No, I think you're in the wrong program. I think you need to go to this school instead because you seem to be more into." Back then, what we call commercial art, whether or not then it's graphic design, and now it's I don't know what it is now. Probably still graphic design. Who knows? Illustration, anything that's not like fine art. So
yeah, I think they call it like communication arts or commercial arts. Yeah,
right.
Commercial arts. Yeah.
But
I don't know. I didn't do any of that. I don't know. Like I'm just.
It always cracks me up because when I was in school, the people who were like the fine art majors or like the performance art majors and stuff like. Were there was like this war between like cartoonists and like like lowbrow art, and then graphic design wasn't as respected, and it's like I really don't actually witness that a lot outside of like I'm surprised how much as an adult I don't like outside of school I don't witness that division as much where people are like art, this isn't art. Most people will look at comics now and be like, that's a wonderful drawing, and then they'll go to an art museum and be like, that's a wonderful drawing, and they'll look at a badly drawn comic and be like, that's a crap comic, and you know what I mean, they'll look at a bad painting and be like, that's a bad painting. Like I don't really see a mass division, but the people who kind of hold to that pretension of like high and low art to me are just expose themselves, I think, when they do it. That's my take, but I feel like it's like if you're gonna be like a high artist and be like, I'm an artist and you're not because you're a cartoonist, I think that's horseshit.
That's one of those things that always burn me up. It's like you look at something that somebody did, and I always try to look at it like this: like I might not like it, but somebody spent just as much time making that thing that they made as I spend making it. So I try to give them the respect and look at that, and I actually try to look at it through their eye to see what it is that they love about that.
Yeah.
And I think, like I feel like I learn a lot that way too, because it's like they have something to contribute, and they're trying to contribute something, and they're trying to convey a message, and it deserves its own time.
Yeah. Man, that's really well said.
Yeah. So you going back to kind of you stepping away from social media. Did we talk about what brought you back, or are you back? I guess that's the question.
I guess I'm back.
Okay.
What brought me back? The same thing that made me almost like delete all of my accounts, I guess, is I got really mad. Like all the stuff that's going on, like I started, spending time online looking at the world again. Mm-hmm. And I was really looking for an avenue that wasn't like the Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Right. And I wound up setting up a TikTok account.
Yeah, I want to get into that.
Yeah, but before that happened, I was watching what was going on over in China and Beijing, and kind of watching like it seemed like there was going to be a revolution, and then everybody got sick, and that was like I started to see people getting sick like in December maybe. Mm-hmm. And I told my wife, I was like, I think something's wrong, and I was like, I don't know that I want to book any convent, because my idea for this year was that I was going to hit it hard. I was going to make books, and I was going to have like at least 2 graphic novels worth of books to sell, to launch at New York Comic Con. And we were going to buy a giant booth, and I was going to go up against, well, not up against, but I wanted to be sitting next to Source Point.
I'm not familiar with Source Point.
Yeah, you do. You know Bob Sally. He did Salvengers. Writer. Maybe not.
Maybe not. I mean, current, like a lot of like more modern day comics, I'm not really familiar with, and it's it's kind of weird because a lot of these things I'm sure are huge names, and for me to say I'm not sure, but that's just me. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what's going on in the.
Well, I mean, like you're doing your own thing, and that's awesome. I was looking, there for a while. Bob actually grew up in the town that I live in, so he was accessible for me to go in court and be like, "Hey, you write cool comics.
Yeah,
you do great Kickstarters. You are a machine. You've got, I don't know. He's got like 10 books." 10 different graphic novels, and they've sold huge numbers. So I was kind of courting him. And then I got Austin started working with Image, the writer for and I was trying to get him to do some rewrites, and he just kind of like, he didn't really have the time, and had all this like really great stuff going on. And I was still kind of in this like la la land, and I wound up conversing with my cousin about the town that we grew up in, which is what Steel Wool is based around, is one of the military based towns that Neil Armstrong and all the rest of the astronauts trained in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really bizarre growing up there. Looking back on it, there was really what I thought were normal things, like experimental planes breaking the sound barrier over our house.
So I live right near Edwards, like in Lancaster, California, and it's like you can tell somebody who just moved here when like there's a sonic boom, and they're like, and it's like, oh, it's the sonic boom, and they're like, what? Like, yeah, it's just that happens all the time.
Yeah, I live right by an Air Force base, so I was today. I mean, I woke up like, and I hear the planes, and like you get used to it, you tune them out. But today, and this one sound was like right over my house. It's like super loud. But
yeah, see that stuff doesn't affect. And I used to ask, like, apparently, like I didn't know it growing up, but before my mom had me, she was married to an experimental pilot from the base. So when I would ask her questions like, "What was that?" she'd be like, "Oh, that was so and so. That was this kind of airplane breaking the sound barrier, or they're testing this out." And she would actually get phone calls. They'd be like, "Hey, we're going to test this weird plane out. We're going to fly it over your house. You guys got to leave the house for like an hour."
Yep. It sounds really. So like I said, like there's a NASA here too. So it's like, it's really funny. It's they used to land the shuttle here. And we didn't get the cool launch though.
We didn't get any of the cool launch, but we the centrifuge is here.
Nice.
And they sold it, and my buddy bought it, and he does comic book conventions there along with other things, but it's still kind of funny sitting underneath this thing.
That's the truth.
No, wait. He bought it?
He bought the center. So the military base was decommissioned,
right?
Like 15 years ago. 15, something like that. And they left everything, man. They left everything. They left the paperwork. They left the monkey cages. They left the computers. They left the astronaut suits. They
You gotta be kidding me.
Dude, it was like walking into a scene from Stranger Things. Like it was those round green hallways.
That would have been such inspiration.
Oh yeah, man. And he called me up one day, and he's like, "Hey," at the time I was doing construction. He's like, "I need you to come over and look at this thing." And I pull up, and I'm like, "This is the military base. It used to have like razor wire around it."
Yeah.
And we walk in, and he actually had a recording studio that he put in the thing because it's just massive. It's just this massive circular building that they built actually around the engine for the centrifuge is so big that they built the building around it. And he's like, "Come in this room. I got to show you this thing." He didn't tell me. I walk in, and he clicks the light on. I was like, "Holy crap! What is this thing?" Like, I don't know if you've ever stood
the actual like
arm. The thing is
in and everything
still there. And I was like, "Does this thing work?" And he goes, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Can we turn it on?" He goes, "No." Do you have any idea how much that costs to turn on?
Oh man,
it was electric. And I remember when we were kids, the whole town would gray out every now and then, and that was them firing this thing up. It was sucking on the grid so hard, which is another interesting fact. Living in that town, I don't think I ever remember losing power but once. But yeah, it was cool.
Man.
NASA was there, man. They created like night vision and all sorts of other weird stuff. And all the parents, they all had like top secret clearance. So you got to ask them, well, what's your parents do? Oh, they work over at the base.
Yeah.
So what did your friend do with all like the suits and the cages? And I mean,
they're there. They're like they
a recording studio now.
Thing that like the model builder actually went to work for my dad, who had a tool and die business, and they were making machines. So he would help like create like jackhammers and stuff for my dad. And his whole town was like interconnected. It's bizarre. Yeah, my family was making like parts for war weapons and stuff. It was weird.
Dude, you should open that up for tours.
It is. You can go there.
Where was this town? Where did you grow up?
Warminster.
Warminster? Okay. What?
Literally, it's right down the street from one of the houses that Washington stayed at when he was planning to cross the Delaware.
Okay.
And they had like the Navy. There was like 3 different naval air bases there. So and there was one of the hangars was so big it had this hole in the door, and they'd like park B-52s in there, and the tail would be hanging out, and they'd work on them in there. And there was always like military vehicles driving around the town, people in camo and
yeah, that's a trip. It's funny though, like just because I'm so close to Edwards and NASA and kind of grew up in this area too, so it's like I'm kind of familiar with that type of thing. Like at night, when I was a kid, we'd go out like, well, not a kid, but like a teenager. We'd go out in the desert drinking, which we shouldn't have been doing at that age, but who's not? And then you'd see like this weird stuff in the sky, like alien invasion type stuff. And then you'd find out like 3 weeks later, like, oh, the military just released this thing called the stealth, fighter. That's what we saw, like it's really strange. It's just a strange, I don't think we're this like as distant of a city, but it is funny how like I think some of the stuff you're describing is like super familiar.
Oh yeah, we had like one of the capsules was sitting like alongside the road for a long time, and it was like this weird like column building, and next to like this huge like red and white spinning radar, and there was another one across town that was just way bigger.
Yeah.
And next to this little tower building, there was this weird like upside down plane. it was on this pedestal, and it was just there upside down.
Oh man,
I would love to see that, because like my only the only thing equivalent to that I can point out is that I don't know if it's still there, but on the way because I live near Phoenix, and if I go to Tucson, on the way there, somebody did, and I didn't know what it was until I Googled it, but there was basically, it looked like a capsule sitting on the side out in the middle of the desert, just this capsule, and you could see this parachute kind of trailing out. I'm like, no, you got to be kidding me. And I Googled it. It was some kind of weird art project to make you think, so, and to have that, like the real thing, that's pretty
yeah,
weird.
Dude, so there's a park here called Apollo Park that used to have the Apollo capsule that like they actually landed on, but then like people, because it was at a park, like just started kind of like carving their initials on it and stuff, so they had to remove the Apollo like capsule from the park, which is kind of a bummer. So now you go to this park that's called Apollo Park, but it doesn't have anything from the Apollo.
See, that's weird. When did that disappear? Because at some point in time, that may be the capsule that I was talking about that wound up here, and I think now it's down at the Franklin Institute.
Oh, weird. I have no idea. Like, I mean, I know it was like growing up, it was always there, like encased in this like big plastic thing, and then they moved it. But
yeah, this thing just kind of showed up, and they placed it there.
Was it like,
and it was just kind of sitting on its side, like tilted all weird, and eventually they threw like a tarp over it. And the thing about it is that it was like there was base housing, and they had like this like track, I guess, where you could run, and it was behind this weird red and white fence.
Trippy. That's fascinating.
Razor wire.
I just didn't expect there to be that kind of overlap with like that, because that's an irregular thing about that kind of environment too. Is like when I was going to school, like it was not unusual to like hang out with a buddy, and their dad's a rocket scientist, and you're like, what? Wait, like literally a rocket scientist? Because there's tons of engineers. There's Northrop, like Lockheed Martin, NASA, like, and then Edward.
It was all connected. I mean, the one that was in Warminster was connected to Lockheed Martin, and the other, oh man, it was just on the tip of my tongue. The one that everybody talks about,
like Skunk Works or something.
Yeah, it was connected to Skunk Works, but the other base, the notorious named one,
like Area 51. That's
no, the one up in New York.
Okay.
Kennedy? No, Kennedy Space Center is not.
No, it's got that funny name. It starts with like an N or something. Sorry.
I'm sure if you mentioned it, I know, but I can't.
It'll come to me.
Yeah. That's a trip though. It is weird too when you start like getting older and you're like, wait, they were building like machines that murder people. Like it's kind of, I don't know. It's a trip.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I seriously, I could talk about this. Stuff is so fascinating to me.
Oh yeah.
Frank just pointed out that he heard this story 2 nights ago. Hopefully I think we might be doing a different take on it. Hopefully.
Yeah, but so at any rate, Steel Wool, to bring it back to comic books, that's what Steel Wool is about. It's about a teenage girl that picks up superpowers, and she's actually within this universe that my cousin and I have created, and the other book that I'm working on now as well, kind of resides in this like Steel Wool verse, I guess you could call it.
And this is all your own? Is this all under Black Sails then?
The one that I'm working on now, we haven't really, Andrew and I haven't really come to a conclusion, because I was going to shop it around,
right.
But now that I have Black Sails, I kind of pitched it to my investor, and he was like, and I'm like, if Andrew's for it, I might just do it myself.
Right. So Black Sails is your imprint, your comic book company.
Yep.
So what do you see what do you see in the future? What kind of books do you want to do with that?
World domination for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my line of work. So
honestly, we were my partner and I were thinking about just doing the best comic books that we can, and we do have the ability, once things get going, to possibly bring other people in. I'm connected to a lot of really amazing artists. So I don't know, like it's kind of like, it's on me. I got to get this stuff done. Mm-hmm. But as long as I'm getting that stuff done, the sky is kind of the limit as far as I'm concerned. Or I can just keep plugging along and just doing my thing. Either way, I'm happy. I get to be a stay-at-home dad and whatever.
Cool. So, I mean, obviously there's a correlation, or it ties into like pirates and stuff like that. So is there any particular, theme or direction or anything with you, because you mentioned sort of a universe, or is it just whatever you want it to be?
No, there's a universe. There's a catalyst for it all. We spent an entire year just talking about every day, like I was drawing books and he was doing his thing, and we were on the phone every day, and we hashed out the entire universe, and it's there just waiting for me to execute it at this point and bring people in as we will. But it's like I got to get that ball rolling. I've got to have these things finished to really make that happen. And I got sidetracked. I was working and doing these other things, and I kept picking things up, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm getting into places that I didn't think that I was going to get into convention wise, because you kind of have that, like, you can get into those underground conventions, the mom and pop conventions, but once you start talking to like New York Comic Con and those things, you got to have some sort of clout, man. They like I said, they vet you, like, well, what is your what does your social media look like? How many followers do you have?
Right. Yeah.
How many books that you sold? Who have you worked for?
All right, so that's a good segue into the TikTok, because so you like kind of dropped off social media, but when you came back, you got involved in TikTok and just kind of sounds like you pretty much blew up there.
Yeah, that was weird. I mean, like, I blew up for an artist. I didn't blow up for some guy dancing,
right,
and like swimming in the bathtub with ducks or something. Like, you do the right thing and you can have like 100,000 followers the next day, but you're married to that. And that's one of those things that I'm living through right at the moment, is that I had like a very specific genre of thing blow up and I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And make it all work.
The other thing, obviously, that's kind of scary is if that platform goes away, because, they're talking about it, because I guess India already, banned it. Mm-hmm. And, I know there's some people in the U.S. definitely want to see it go away.
I saw Pompeo. The thing is like they threatened to pull the plug 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And everybody made these like really sad, and I made like 2 sad videos. I'm like, thanks, it's been a great year. But the next day, they dumped the algorithm. And everybody lost, like everybody was going to their pages and they're looking at it and everybody's freaking out. Nobody had any likes. Nobody had any followers. Everything was set to 0. All of your content was still there, but it looked like, that was the death rattle. And then it just kind of, the algorithm changed for sure. Like everybody thought that they knew what they were doing and they don't anymore. And the gates are no longer as wide open as they were. So if you're going to get on that train, I would suggest doing it like today, right now.
Yeah, because that was my, I probably wouldn't, just because I can't even keep on top of I can't even keep on top of Instagram.
No, just listen, dump all that stuff. Like dump the Facebook, dump the TikTok, or not the TikTok, keep the TikTok. Dump the Facebook, dump the Instagram, and just make like 30 TikTok videos and dump them all at once. Okay. And something will happen. You'll either have nothing, it'll be flat, or you'll skyrocket, or as long as you are steadily bringing in people, right, then and your videos are getting more than like 400 views, then you're on some sort of
that's interesting
secrets here.
So what can you do with a TikTok audience? Is there a way to translate that into readers? Is it a way? I mean, because that's one of the reasons why I pulled away from Instagram, is because I just couldn't find a way to, I guess, monetize that, or like get people to go to my YouTube or whatever. Or it's just I don't know. And I've heard that from people with larger followings on Instagram. It's like,
So, I'll go in here to there's like a background. If you upgrade to a pro account, you get, and I posted some of them on my Instagram. I don't know if I deleted them because I was kind of having it out with Instagram. Because they throttled me really, really hard. And I'm like, yo, there's this app over here and I've got almost 25,000 followers. Can I have can you give me like a break?
Right.
Like I'm done spending money with you guys. And that's a whole nother thing. So I don't know if you can see this, but
here, let me go. Can we go full screen on you? Let's see. No, that's me. Hold on.
You'll get it. No.
Here we go. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
So here's the back end, right? And you can see what, we can really get into it. And you can see like, I had this huge spike today, which was.
And this is speed art videos mostly you're posting?
Well, you have, there's kind of the sweet spot here. just show this real quick. That was like that one weird day where one weird day can make or break your entire TikTok.
And does it continue from there? I mean, obviously
you get like, I'll get into stuff with you like off. Like, I don't want to give it all away right here, but there's kind of like there's you got to watch the trends. You know, you got to watch the hashtags. You got to watch the trends. You literally got to watch what the major creators are doing, but at the same time, like, if you do blow up on things, you have to watch your own content, because TikTok will tell you whether or not you're doing good or bad, and you've got to find a way to listen to that.
Okay.
But I mean, like, I've got some things now that are like, what's that? I posted a thing a couple of days ago and it's got 700 views, but then I posted, the Mike Wachowski thing, and it's got 100 and some odd.
The thing that has, and I would say only me. I mean, obviously it's all relative if you got, but the thing with 700 views was that fan art. Is it like a fan art thing that you got to post in order to get views, or?
I have like my own specific content that's like specific to what I do. So like I make videos, and some of them have got music to them, and I splice in the artwork to that, and some of them have got some sort of commentary over top of it, and I splice the artwork into that real fast. But you've got this window within a minute, because that's the length of the videos. Maximum is a minute. And some people are really good. Some people can tell an entire story in a minute. And there's one of the guys, Tainted Lyric, that I follow, and it's like you begin watching his video, and by the time you get to the end of that minute, you're like, how did I get here? What just happened? He's able to move within that minute through an entire storybook with twists and turns. And I mean, he's a wacky guy, but it's fun. For me personally, it's like I've got this window somewhere between 13 seconds and a minute. And some of the videos will blow up, and, I'll get like 3 million views. And then some of them, I get like a couple hundred views.
Wow.
But it's really like a numbers game. If you're there and you can grind on it, then
is there the ability to link out from TikTok or not?
What do you mean?
Like if you want to put how Instagram, I forget how many followers you have to have before you can actually put a link that will take you off of Instagram onto like your own website or something like that.
Right. No, those are all baked in already. As a matter of fact, I opened up, I hate Instagram. I opened up my Instagram and I started funneling my TikTok into Instagram, and I hadn't had any growth in a year and a half on Instagram. And I just rolled over on like 500 followers, which is about 150 more than I had last month.
Oh,
so take that.
And you're being throttled because you were paying, and when you stop paying, that's always my biggest concern with paying for anything, because why would they bother to show it if you were paying at one time? It just doesn't. Yeah.
And I mean, like I did really well. I got the Untold did really well. Steelwool did really well. We were, and beyond that, I was using it for other things too. And then their algorithm changed with that, and they got greedy, and then they changed Instagram. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to spend money with you anymore. That was one of the reasons why I left. Like Facebook started to get really aggressive. The people on Facebook started to get really aggressive, and their algorithms just, I don't know. I don't want to be up here. This place is mean. Yeah,
it's just I don't like, if you go to my Facebook page, all you're going to see is other people tagging me in things. It's every once in a while I might post something, and I like the Messenger. I use the Messenger, but yeah, I'm on Facebook, but I'm not really. I don't scroll through Facebook. Very rarely I do, but.
That used to be my happy place. I would go and I would scroll on people's art, and I found that like all these artists that I was following, they were like posting all this political stuff.
Yeah, I do that.
And I was on there today because I was looking for your for links and things, and I'm looking at stuff and I'm like, oh, I know this person. I'll click over and like, oh shit, yeah, there's nothing here but how much you hate the world right at the moment. I get it. Everybody's mad. Everything sucks. But I just want to see some art, man. And
yeah,
that's I went over to TikTok, and there was this girl, I am the J, and she was like one of the first videos, and she's like a hot mess. She's in her room and she's playing with some animal and something, and she goes, "Listen, I haven't brushed my hair or my teeth today, and I don't want to hear any of you say nothing about it." And then she went back to doing her thing, and I was like, you know what? You just became my spirit animal. Like, I'm letting you into my life. Be nice.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, because like I said, I'm not like really on Facebook, and I'm really honestly trying to avoid a lot of the drama and stuff. But like last week, I got an instant message. I mean, what do you call it? Facebook message from, I don't know, one of my, I guess, distant cousins or something, just with this huge, long political rant, unsolicited, not in response to anything that I posted.
That's madness.
That's and then I'm like,
I'll get political on Facebook, but I'm not messaging friends like, hey, you got to check out this. And also like the proliferation of conspiracy and just nonsense.
Yeah, that's what this was a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And
did it have a letter involved in it?
No, it was just a huge long thing, and I'm
the different.
So I contacted my mom.
Letters, man, they'll get you banned nowadays.
I contacted my mom because this is somebody that it's a cousin of hers, and I said, who exactly is this? Have I met them? And she says, oh, that's my cousin. I said okay, because I just wanted to make sure before I told them to go F themselves. And my mom's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Just ignore it. And I said, well, I won't tell them to go F themselves. And I didn't say F, but I'm going to let them know, because that is just not cool to just so I emailed this guy back, and I said, look, I'm just minding my own business. I don't post anything political. I said, why are you wasting my time with this stuff? Why are you sending this to me? And the guy apologized, but I mean, that's just not cool. And he's an older guy. Yeah, he's like my mom's cousin, but you just don't randomly message people that stuff. That's just
like sending.
I try to avoid that stuff. If he wants to post that on his Facebook, and if I am scrolling, I can scroll past it if I want, but don't message people. I mean, that's just crazy. So I'm like, is this the new thing that people are just gonna okay? Yeah, I don't know if people are engaging with this, because that's why people post this stuff, is to get a rise out of people and start.
Dude, I lost it there for a little bit. I was acting. I went full Andy Kaufman. I was whatever the bizarrest thing that I could find, I was posting. I was just Facebook, take this, take it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants anything right now. Take this.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's crazy. If I mean, it's and I said, and then after he apologized, I said, look, maybe I overreacted, but I mean, I mean, if I wanted this, I could search it out for myself. I don't, I don't need. I'm trying to avoid this drama, but maybe it's unavoidable.
No, I mean, right now it's everywhere. It's unavoidable, and nobody needs.
And it's not because I don't have feelings about all this stuff that's going on. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that's going on in the world right now is messed up. But you know what? There's comic books, and comic books are awesome.
Yeah,
and that's
we need some people to take people's mind off all this. If that helps at all, I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, I hope so. I hope that I really hope to God that I'm helping somebody somewhere with some art and some happiness, because I feel like the world really needs that right now.
Yeah, and the thing is also, if you're really pissed, here's the thing I'll say. I post new art every day on Facebook, so I'll post political stuff because frankly
it's kind of a part of your art too.
Yeah, and I'm not really quiet about my politics. That's part of my brand. Is I'm kind of a punk rock guy myself, and I'm not hiding who I vote for.
But you're not going to message people.
Yeah, and I'm not going to message people either and be like, no. I want I'm cool with every viewpoint. I'm open to talk to people about their viewpoints, and I'll be respectful of it. But I will very clearly lay out, this is who I am, and then to me, that's what I'll put on any social media, right? But I'll still put art, and then my art tends to have that bent to it too. So it's like the point being like, if you're not making something and you're just reposting political stuff, like take that energy. Like, did an article piss you off? Write a song, like make an album, make a cool piece of art about it. Like some of the best art in the world is made out of like protests or anger, like in reaction to like something, and that's at least an emotion that you can tap into to like make a good story. Because to me, that's more infuriating. Is seeing people who like being on the sidelines commenting, like even in politics, like to be on the sidelines commenting, but don't want to interact, don't want to actually participate. And it's like, to me, I'm like, if you're going to be an artist, then participate. If you're gonna be a political like bent on your art, bring it in and bring it to your art. Because like, yeah, the just reposting thing, not great. Yeah.
And most people don't research what they're reposting, so it's like,
there's
like I've been to people's pages where everything says this has been proven not to be true, and like all their conspiracy theories. I mean, every single one of their posts has been like flagged as potentially untrue. So
see, I like that. I like sharing stuff like that. Like if you're gonna share something that sucks. Get people riled up, man. Like whatever. No, I mean, like I totally get the art thing, man. Because like with the TikTok things, like I don't think people realize. Some people, like every now and then, somebody will like be like, "Hey, that was a," and I was like, "Yeah, that was baked in there for sure." Because like, I mean, there's like a lot. You can't escape all this weird mumbo jumbo that's going on right now, and all the hostility and like it's people are either like totally PO'd or they're like totally on a love vibe. It's just no in between.
Yeah. So you went into like TikTok and everything, and then you sort of went back to at least a little bit getting back into the social media and stuff. But you had mentioned before the show that you might go away from social media again, and that's
no. What I meant by that is that like everybody else, I'm ticked off,
right.
And I got a lot to say about it, and I don't. I just want to be an artist. Like I want to, like I said, I want to spread like happiness, and I want to give something in this time that people can get away from. So really, like I'm here. I'm going to talk to you guys. I talked to Jeff, and I talked to Marshall, and the reason for that is one, like I didn't feel comfortable coming back to YouTube, and I kept telling myself, I'm like, just go make a video, and I was kind of dragging my feet with Jeff because I couldn't get the camera to work, or I couldn't get this to work. And I kind of got it working the one day. And Marshall was like, hey, how about tonight? And I was like, you know what? Let's do this. Like, because like I said, if there's a door, I'm going to throw myself through it. But I can very easily get myself into a lot of trouble with my mouth because, like everybody else, I'm opinionated. And I think it's just time right now to shut up. Let people do their own thing. If people want to read the stuff, let them read the stuff. If they want to come check me out and have an escape for 15 seconds or an hour, if I can manage to figure out the YouTube thing, and it seems pretty easy nowadays. Maybe I'll sit down and draw an entire panel and do like kind of a speed thing and talk over like, this is why I blocked the shot like this or whatever. This is how you lay out a page, and give people a chance to get out of the fact that they're trapped in their house or whatever weird thing that they're dealing with, because everybody's got some amount of weird right now. So give them some kind of normal, something that they can depend on. And I feel like if I come back and I say, hey, I'm going to do a show, especially now, and I'm going to release those videos on Friday at 3:00 or whatever it is. I feel like that's a commitment, especially now. Like if you're going to do that, you've got to have some integrity to that, because, I feel like you're probably going to wind up with some amount of people pretty quick, especially now. And you owe them something if you're going to do that. So that's terrifying.
Yeah. I think that's a good terror though. Meaning like, that's a really good way to kickstart yourself on like, it's like similar to the 100 days or anything like that, where it's like part of it's just the accountability of it. Like by publicly, saying like, I'm going to do this thing, then if you don't deliver it, it kind of, that's smart. So to kind of light a fire for yourself to do it, that's smart.
Yeah.
I use that method myself because like I've committed to post new art every day, and I think I've missed like one day where
That's
I
awesome.
posted. Now, keep in mind, it doesn't necessarily lead to growth, but it keeps me accountable and keeps my art going forward and projects getting done. That's kind of like a core thing, So.
No, but like I'll be right there with you, man. That is also, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm looking at the TikTok things and like you don't realize like, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, a 15-second video is not a 15-second video to shoot if you want to.
Right. I was curious about like how much time you spent developing that content.
It was really kind of like I did a lot of poking and hoping, and which is really something that you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to pick a thing and go with it. So, like, if you're like maybe doing jokes, and then dancing and then doing art, though those are like 3 different channels in TikTok's eyes. So don't do that. But it come up with like some sort of original idea, like one guy's got potato content. He makes potato videos like Adele singing, it starts off with one potato and then there's like 40 million potatoes. He just makes potato content.
Yeah. I saw some, I think it was on Facebook, probably on TikTok too, but some guy that just did all these weird performance art things with pasta. I don't know if anyone saw that.
Pasta content. Yeah. No, I haven't seen it, but yeah, I mean, I can see that being a thing. It's, there's the cosplayers. They really kind of, drove it at first. And it was kind of funny because you'd watch these cosplayers and they would have their original characters, and there's only so many sounds that are popular for so long. And these people make like, 6 videos a day or something, or 10 or 20. And eventually you run out of content for that specific character. So they would come up with some new character. And it was funny to watch people go from like, 30,000 views or a couple million views on every one of their things. And then they'll introduce this new character and they'll have like 5 views. Nobody knows what's going on. And I do that to people all the time. Like I've got a couple of things. I've got things that hit real hard. And I know that they're going to hit real hard. And some of the things I know are going to hit real hard because they're going to make people mad. Like you're really trying to kind of provoke some sort of primal instinct out of people. So, you want them to like it. You want them to comment on it and you want them to share it. And some of it's like, I've made like I think like a 6-second video or something, and people were like, I made like 2 lines, and it made people very angry. But it got a lot of traction because it made them angry. So I mean, you can do stuff like that.
Yeah, I think Josh, what you're doing right now, I mean, I think your stuff you could edit that down, and they could probably do really
I think
well.
You guys could edit any of the stuff down. Like you just if you have any of your videos of and any of these YouTube videos, I've seen people just take something like this, for example. There's some sort of part in one of these things you're like, this is really poignant, and if you can bake that down to a minute long, you could publish these on there, and that could be a catalyst to getting more people over here.
So would you recommend, say if I wanted to jump into TikTok, not saying I am, but if I wanted to, if I just spend an afternoon going through my stuff and just cutting up, would you recommend kind of batching that stuff and then just releasing it?
So like a popular guy that does that is Joe Rogan. He'll take like a piece of something,
right?
Some controversial thing that was said that can be, like I said, somewhere between. There's like this sweet spot. You gotta Google it. There's somewhere between like 13 seconds and 17 seconds. That's like a viral video maker, but you can make them out of a minute long. But if you can bake some clip from one of these things down and you just release 1 or 2 or 3 of those a day, you'll get an audience. There's an audience for everybody. And the other cool thing about it is that there's an incentive to get you going to do that, which is the incentive is to get 1,000 followers, and then you can have live streams and you can talk to your followers.
Okay.
And you can do like a thing like this. It is a hazard though, because it is a medium that's coming from another country, and you have to understand that there's rules to that. And you have to read those community guidelines, and you have to stick to them, because they'll Thanos your account real fast. Okay. And they don't care who you are. They don't care how big your account is.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there something that's not so obvious that's like that you can point out? I'm just kind of curious, like what type of thing are they like?
So if you're doing like a live stream and you I don't know, you're drinking a beer, you can get flagged for that. You're cursing a dude walking around without a shirt on. You really kind of have to. In your like if you're having an adult conversation and you've got like teenagers show up in the comments and they start talking trash, there's a good chance you can lose your live stream. And some guys, like, they make their livelihood off of that at this point. There's one of the guys that I follow who he worked himself up to 1,000 followers, and he started doing live streams, and he is now selling hats, and he does kind of like this hybrid spray paint kind of thing. And he makes like, the spray paint hats, which are cool. And then he started making stickers, and he's got mugs, and it grew from like this one thing that he was making to now he's got an entire line of stuff. And what I understand, later on in the year, they're gonna supposedly maybe incorporate some sort of store where you can have your store directly through TikTok, if it survives that long. And there's other incentives, like if you get like 100,000 followers, you can become like a brand pusher or something.
How many followers do you have?
24,000.
Okay.
I think.
Impressive.
It is. It's actually terrifying. Yeah.
It
is. It became very. There were like things that became very glaring that like. I felt like a responsibility, and I even feel like one of the things that I posted was kind of like an existential crisis, and I was really talking about like characters from Star Wars, the droid from the Mandalorian and the Mandalorian and like their relationship, and how both of them kind of seem like they're having an existential crisis, and it attracted teenagers and children by the thousands, and there were people definitely trolling in there and being weird, and I'm like, I don't know that I can make content like that again.
Wow.
That's a little disconcerting when it's like that strange, where it's like, but like anything else, I think once you learn the guidelines and the tools in the sandbox you can use, then
right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and you're connecting with people. Like I'm doing stuff with like traditional, and that's the other thing. Like I kind of pigeonholed myself into doing traditional art, even though I was headed in that direction. But I'm using traditional tools, and that takes longer, and making the videos take longer, and whatever. But I've got so many kids that are like, dude, I want to make comic books. And I'm like, that's awesome. How can I help? What do you need to know?
Yeah.
That's rad.
Awesome. Well, hopefully, with that, you'll get into doing this, doing some more YouTube content. I'd like to see some of the, you're talking about doing some sort of a process stuff. So, yeah, because it's definitely cool to see that you're sort of back on social media and everything. Yeah. Is there anything that you wanted to, because we're getting ready to wrap things up, is there anything that you wanted that we didn't touch on that you wanted to mention or anything like that?
No, everybody keeps asking me about the books. Like I've got books here. You can email me through the Johannes at blacksales.com. And if you're interested in Steel Wool, I've got a bunch of the first issues I don't have very many of the second issues, but I'm going to do another press shortly. And we've been, the only issue with that is and I kind of said this on Jeff's show the other day. My wife and I, our family, we've been quarantining the entire time because we're at risk. And I have to find a way that I'm comfortable with getting this product to people. That's why the store hasn't opened yet. And it's just, I want to be able to put it on my front step and have somebody come pick it up. Or
isn't that a reality now? You think that would be a reality? I mean, isn't there?
It probably is. I'm just slow.
What was it? I just heard. I forgot what. I mean, I know there's like, I think stamps.com. I don't know. I know there's services like that, but I'm trying to. I thought it was the post office or somebody just said that now that you can basically do that. So I don't know.
Yeah, we were. My wife and I have spent like I don't know, probably 2 hours looking at it. And the thing is like it's like, well, we don't know anybody that's really used any of this stuff, and we kind of put some feelers out to some of her friends that use things like that, and nobody really got back to us. So it almost felt like it was like this thing that like this mine, I'm not sharing.
I've heard from other cartoonists, like I don't do a lot of fulfillment myself, but I've heard from a lot of cartoonists that stamps.com is actually pretty good. And that is fully not an endorsement for that we have, because like I think
I looked into that, but I think to my, and I could be wrong, but I don't think, I definitely know media mail isn't part of that. And if you're shipping comics, I mean, assuming that there aren't ads in your comics, I know mine.
Oh yeah, cost will be way lower through the post office.
So, and I know you can't do that through, and I don't even think you could do just regular first class through stamps.com.
I don't want to do that either. Like I want to get those little Z twisty, bomb proof packages to put the comic book so that I'm not ticking off people because. Right. Mm-hmm. I've gotten a whole bunch of things in the mail. My God, my publisher used to send me things. I'm like, oh my God, this book's like from the 60s, and you just sent it in this little thinly wrapped thing.
Yeah. I try to package it pretty well.
Dent on the corner or something. You're like, come on.
yeah, like this is trash now. Thanks.
Love it. All right. Well, let's we'll kind of. We'll go the rounds and see. So definitely, let's see. Black Sales is .comics. That's your website. And then let's see. Let me go. You can find Johannes on YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok at Johannes. I'll just say Vick because that's easier to remember. And then on Instagram, which I don't even know why I'm posting this because you're not a big fan of Instagram. But
send them over to Instagram. I love it. I just, like I said, I finally got them to roll over on 500. So maybe they'll open my gate back up or something.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's the case.
Somebody to talk to me over there. Like, come on, just give me somebody I can fight with.
And then we actually had a bunch of stuff going on in the chat. Let me look through here real quick.
I like the King Crow's conspiracy theory that he, I think, is going to be sharing on social media, which is flat, hollow Earth on the back of a turtle, and its turtles all the way down.
I love it. Turtles all the way down. So it's like Yertle the turtle. It's like a planet on top of Yertle. I love it.
Perfect. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on here. Oh man.
All right. Okay, so let's see.
Frank said if you have Lockheed Martin, we have Ricky Martin. That was pretty funny.
All right.
A lot of crazy stuff.
All right. Well, Josh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say,
yeah.
Where can people find you, Josh?
You can find me at joshua.kemble.com. You can find a comic about faith and mental illness, quarterlystories.com, and it's only a preview because that's being shopped around to publishers. And then in the interim, also, hey, a lot of people are stuck at home, right? You're stuck in your house. You need to hear some new music. I got a new album. It's 10 songs, kind of weird, protesty, folk, punk rock weirdness. I don't know how to describe it. Check it out on Spotify, Bottle of Better Than. And then if you don't like it, cool, you didn't spend anything. Check it out, see if you like it. All right, that's it for me.
All right. So before I close out the show, one more time, I want to go back to Johannes because I did have one question. So what's up next for you? I mean, you're working on we talked about the books that you have and kind of what you've been up to. Mm-hmm. What's next on the agenda? Are you working on any new comics, any new projects, anything like that?
I've got Steel Wool 3 is like halfway done. And I kind of like had like a little bit of a shift at the beginning of the quarantine because I was just not feeling it there. And I was sitting on the script with Andrew Haunt, and I've got this really cool kind of Scooby-Doo meets the classic Universal Monsters, Hanna-Barbera kind of, all the things that I love growing up. And when I pitched it to him, and I was like, let's smash all this stuff together and make it awesome.
That sounds awesome. Does it have a name yet? Or?
Yeah, Macabre Incorporated. So
awesome.
We're going full. They're going on a Scooby-Doo adventure, and we're gonna fight the bad guys and solve the mysteries.
That's exciting.
I love it.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, family oriented.
Okay, hold on. Yeah. So thanks to everyone in the chat, and let's see. As far as me. You can find me at circworks.com. Also, I'm here, Circworks on YouTube. And again, just my email is scott@circworks.com. If you have any questions or anything that you'd like me to answer as far as making comics, anything, I do want to get rolling on this series, this live version of Making Comics 101. So just in the event that I go live and I don't have that many people in the chat, I want to have some stuff to talk about. I'm always worried about that. So I want to get some questions up front, and also I'll have that open to. I'll probably do it like as a premiere or whatever, and have people in the chat and just get back to doing some live stream. And I think that's the way to do it. So. That's what's coming from me. That's all I got to promote right now. Oh, other than that, I still have my digital products are on sale, 40% off at circworks.com. Bunch of comic making digital tools that you can find. And besides that, yeah, this show that we do, the Artcasters, the unofficial, the counterfeit, the bootleg Artcasters, or just the Artcasters, whatever you want to call it. I'm not super big on semantics. But yeah, we do this every week, usually on Thursdays, usually around 9 o'clock Pacific time, but that could change. And it also rotates from Josh's channel to my channel. But if you want to know exactly when we're going to be on, who the guest is, all that kind of stuff, the easiest way to do that is there's a link in the description to join our mailing list. We don't spam you or anything like that. We usually just send out about 30 minutes before we go live. We'll send a link to where you can find us and all that stuff. So yeah, click on that and subscribe to that news channel or newsletter. And we will see you guys next week. And I just want to say thanks again to Johannes. It's good to have you back. And hopefully we'll see a lot more stuff. And yeah, once again, thanks to the chat. And yeah, that's gonna do it for tonight. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Good having me.